All right, guys, 6 o'clock. Let's call the meeting to order. Please stand, same place. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda. So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so we'll jump right to action item, Woodstrand bid. This is a resolution, so we have to do a roll call vote. Everybody on the board looked it over?
Yeah.
I think we have to have a motion to approve in a second, but we still have to have a roll call.
I'll make a motion to approve the Whitstone Elementary construction bid award as presented. I'll second.
You need to list the resolution number.
Well, it's the bid first and then the resolution second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually, they have the resolution first.
No.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Wife's been telling me to get the glasses. All right, so all in favor of accepting the bid or awarding the bid, excuse me?
I did have a question
Yes,
about the side marker boards. Are those the smart whiteboards?
No.
That alternate number 5 and alternate number 6, what are they?
You know, here in this room where there's the big whiteboard in the middle and the little boards on either side, it's just the little whiteboards on either side.
Okay, and then the number 6, the controls by automated logic, what are those?
Dan can explain better than I, but
Yeah.
I'll go.
Deanna, can you hear me, Deanna?
Yeah.
Yeah, so alternate number 6, which is the automated logic HVAC controls. Basically, the way we structured the bid was we had a base bid manufacturer, which was Allerton Controls. And to keep the that specific scope of work competitive, we bid an alternate controls manufacturer. Automated logic actually is who you already have on 3 of your other schools. So all that it is keeping it, a competitive bid.
What does it do?
That's your, excuse me, yeah, sorry, I'm talking as if you know what actually automated logic actually is. It's your HVAC building control system. It's your
Okay.
DDC controls.
Thank you.
any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, all in favor of awarding the bid? Please say aye.
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 All right, so I am aye. Jason?
Well,
Well, that's,
since
this wasn't, you're right,
why I
this
was-
wasn't a resolution.
Okay.
We already went over that once. All right, so all in favor? The next one is the resolution. This is delegating the authority to. The second one is a resolution delegating authority to Matt.
We still gotta do resolution number 0722. Recommending what's.
Well, I only got the one.
You got that one. and
Yeah.
you got
This one.
That one's for the.
07.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I was confused on the account.
Yeah, it doesn't say that.
I'm confused then. Okay, so this resolution, number 07-22, recommending Woodstrand Elementary Construction Bid Award. I'm in favor. Aye. Jason?
We have to
I
make a
think we have
motion.
to have a motion to approve the resolution.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 0722.
I'll second.
Jean, you seconded that? short, I'm all messed up. Okay, all in favor of approving the bid? Please say aye.
I have one question. Well, I might be more than one. This will eliminate the budget to do any work at the old high school. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And then we'll still have $249,000 we'll have to look for.
Correct.
Yeah, this is Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, let me just talk on that a little bit. So yeah, the award recommendation does require the full utilization of the 3.7 million in ESSER funds. Plus it does require utilizing the 900,000 that was dedicated to the future high school reconfiguration into like the admin space.
Okay.
So that it, and it's to speak on the negative 249,000. Keep in mind though, we're still carrying a 5% contingency for construction. So in reality, we're showing that, 249,000 negative territory, but we actually are holding 450,000 in construction contingency for Whitstrand. So in reality, we're not really in the negative, and the likelihood that we actually spend down all of that contingency is pretty slim. And we're still actually holding contingency on Keene Riverview and Prosser Heights Elementary. We haven't forecasted or reconciled that project budget, obviously, since that one's not done yet. And we are seeing some savings on those elementaries.
And is it been a consistent 5% at each project for
Correct.
contingency?
There was a 5% held on the high school, which obviously we have reconciled now that any of the savings on that school, which was in excess of $1 million, actually that rolled over to the future projects. We held 5% on the award of the elementaries. 5% is a standard, basically construction contingency allocation that you hold.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, now that we're all on the same page again. Now the first, second, this is however roll call. So Jason?
Aye.
Peggy?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Elisa?
Aye.
Yes as well. All right. Resolution passes. So without getting my papers all screwed up again. Then we move on. to Resolution number 08-22. This is delegating math authority to nominate somebody to, I don't know how we word this, to speak on our behalf for the negotiations, the hearing officer. All in favor of this, or we need a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion, we approve 0822.
Second.
Okay, again, as a resolution, this is a roll call. Jason?
Aye.
Peggy?
Aye.
Jeannie?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
And a yes as well. So that resolution passes. We jump down to discussion items. This is the master construction budget. And I assume this is where Dan's going to jump back in.
Dan, are you there?
I am, yes.
So we're just gonna go over the budget for Whitstrand, the final master budget for that project. Is there anything you want to highlight to the board or?
Yeah, I think, just, a little bit of what we already talked about. The most important things to note are, like I already mentioned, was we are going to end up utilizing all of the ESSER funds that are dedicated to the project. And we are using the 905,000 that was dedicated to the future admin old high school remodel scope. Other than that, nothing has changed with respect to the master project budget. We've reconciled the high school to the cost to date. We have reconciled all of Keene Riverview and Prosser Heights for all of the items that are fixed fee budgetary items to date. And like I said, we're still within budget and still have as of right now, over 300,000 remaining in project contingency on those two schools, but that will come down, and that's not going to be a complete picture at the end of the day. But beyond those two, the ESSER funds and the high school utilization of those funds, that master project budget has not changed.
Yeah, and we had talked at one time about demoing the science wing. There was a wing that had some asbestos in it at the high school. Is that, so that's out of addressing any of the needs that the old Prosser High School has, or out of the picture at this point, correct?
Correct. You guys had allocated 900,000 originally based on the original bond budget. And that's, in order to make the award happen, that is gone now.
This point, still money well spent.
I do have a question, Dan. This is Jason. In all the other budgets, and granted, I wasn't here for most of the previous ones, but there is a state match part of that. Is Woodstrand getting any state match?
No, all of the eligibility went to Keene Riverview and Prosser Heights. So all of the, basically, this is all local funding now, with the exception of the ESSER funding. And that hasn't changed. That's been part of the plan since day one.
I don't remember the reason that it was.
So we got a certain amount of state match based on all the total project for the high school and elementary schools. And it was one of the reasons that we constructed the schools in the order we had. So like the elementary bid now is because they qualified for state match. That's why we did those two first. And Woodstrand, we were basically maxed it out. To max it out, we did the bigger projects first, and that's why Woodstrand's actually been last, because we weren't going to get any state match. So
Yeah, and to piggyback what you're saying there, Deanna, is a lot of that also was related to just cash flow in general, because we had to wait. The way it works is you actually have to spend down the local participation on the projects that are receiving the state match before you actually start reconciling and receiving the state money. And so in order to actually cash flow the projects, Woodstrand had to lag out beyond the two state match projects until we spent those projects in full, then received all of the money back before we could actually cash flow and fund the Woodstrand project.
Any other questions or comments?
I guess I have a question and some comments. The needs at the old high school aren't going away. It still needs new HVAC, it needs new heating, it needs, I think, electrical and some plumbing issues. So what are we planning to do as a district and board to address this? Are we going to plan to sell something, lease something?
That's a great question. And so there are positions we can take. We do have a number of different properties. We've talked about that before, liquidating some of our properties to address some of these needs. So that's one position, upping the lease and working towards long-term lease agreements. And so Inspire out by Woodstrand leases, and we took the stance with them that we would do a one-year lease. They were interested in a multi-year or long-term lease. So we felt at that time it was more conservative to not go into a long-term lease, knowing that construction will be happening there. We have the high school property that we can lease. We have property, like I had said, out on Mismer, some different things that we could look at selling. And so, yeah, or just being, I think, carving out some of our budget and then choosing to save that year after year to address facilities. And so we haven't, I know that Jason has talked about it before, coming up with a long-term facilities plan, but
Yes.
Prosser really hasn't ever been geared that way budgetarily. And so we've never really looked into what's this going to cost, what are ongoing costs, and how do we address this over time. So I think that that's prudent. I think that's sound budgeting to say we do need to, for instance, the HVAC and air conditioning at old PHS needs a new chiller. HOS, same deal. There are parts of old PHS like the VOA area that needs a new roof. And that's going to be pricey. So yeah, it'll cause us to change our practices, I think, at the leadership level and start thinking about planning ahead. So including our breaker I mean, that's off the books now. What we were gonna plan on doing at Art Fiker is now, we'll have to find a way to fund that.
And then at the bottom of the page for the renovation of the old high school, there's four items, and it says, it's talking about other revenue streams. Historical grant status, grants for seismic upgrades, OPSI grants, and grants for Head Start facilities. Have we started working on any of those, and who is the person in charge of these? Because this is a great way to raise funds. This is a good resource. So have we been working on that?
So we haven't started working on that yet. There are also grants out there for, removal of asbestos at the
Right.
old PHS. And so that's something that we need to be engaged in looking for, ways that we can leverage funding, different funding streams, either from the state or federal level, to put towards projects. We heard, and this is, of course, things that you've heard about, but we've heard about how the tennis courts are busted up. We've heard about how the track kids are getting shin splints on it. We've heard about the ADA issues with Art Fiker. And so those really do need to be addressed. So part of that's planning, as you know.
And a huge part of the 900,000 that was set aside was to tear down the science wing. So, I mean, it's not being used. It could, at least theoretically, for a while, be boarded up and planning it for next year, or year after, or something like that too.
Was the plan to tear down the gym too, or to keep the gym?
Keep the gym. Keep the gym, tear down the science wing, and then, well, of course, at one point we were going to move the tennis courts, which is kind of why they didn't get doctored up at the time.
I think there's, and even as we plan ahead, at least I think that one of the conversations, and you brought this up at one of our other meetings, looking at impact fees as the district's projected to grow, planning ahead as far as, I know that there's still some parcels next to this current high school that may come available. And so really factoring into not only saving and updating our facilities, but calculating into that, like what could potential growth look like for this district. So if we see, more students come to the high school, so we're not bursting at the seams at some point.
Right. I think we definitely need to plan and figure out, what we're going to do and how we're going to, sell or lease something so that we have that money to work with, or however we're going to work it out or get grants, because we do have expensive problems we need to take care of.
Yeah, we've done these before that, kind of prioritization of facilities. We had a lot of alternatives on this high school, like there was kind of an outbuilding for restrooms and concession areas for the baseball and practice area here. And so really thinking about how we want to plan. Dan Purefoy and Dax can actually be part of this and talk about different funding streams that we might want to look into, state match, things like that. But yeah, planning for the future, either doing compression planning or a board workshop around what are our priorities and what do we want to tackle first, next, and last.
At least coming up 2 weeks, I guess we have our next Wednesday work meeting. That one's already pretty well booked up. Would you like to plan this for the one following?
I think that's a good idea to keep the conversation going.
That would be, what would that be?
July.
That would be the third Wednesday of the month. So yeah, July 20 would be our next work Wednesday. Why don't we put that down on the calendar for then, and of course we can add other things to it. At least then it keeps the discussion moving. We don't
Get lost.
get lost in the shuffle and forget about it for 6 months until we need to tackle it again. So any other questions or comments about the construction budget? All right, guys, there's nothing to do with that, is there? Then we just jump to future meetings. Our next regular board meeting is June 8th. We will probably, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's gonna be here at 6 PM. If it turns out to be real heavily attended, we'll do like we did last time. Adjourn and go downstairs. There will be a study session here 2 weeks from today is 15th. And then the next regular meeting after that will be June 22nd. Also here.
Baccalaureate that day.
The 22nd is,
The eighth.
The eighth.
what time? That's like at 6, huh? Normally?
They would possibly conflict, depending on how long that meeting lasts.
We can do it.
People, it'll conflict because people will be showing up to fill that space.
We
Also
could,
going to be.
we could either change the date or do a.
Cancel.
Yeah.
The regular meeting, do a special meeting before.
Sure.
Thanks
I'm
for-
gone on the 9th for the rest of the week, so. Would you guys like to go to a Monday, Tuesday on that week?
Fine.
June 8th is the meeting date.
Tuesday's scholarship night.
Scholarship night, yes.
I thought Monday scholarship
Graduation.
night.
Oh, that's right.
The ninth.
Graduation week, so we have,
And it's gone.
So every night.
oh
Well,
gosh.
we're not gonna
I
worry
have a
about Andy
social
at this
health meeting
point.
on
What's the-
Tuesday.
So
What's that?
Monday is scholarship night, Tuesday is open, Wednesday is baccalaureate,
Tuesday,
Oh,
the
that's gonna
sexual
be
health
rough.
parent meeting.
Tuesday, okay.
There's not
No,
really.
Tuesday is the.
Baccalaureate at 7.
I do.
I thought you said
I'll be on a
Tuesday the
cruise ship,
7th is open.
looking out the balcony at whales.
Brian, did you say Tuesday the 7th was open?
But there's a different meeting.
She has a
I have a
sexual
parent
health
meeting,
with
parent
parents
meeting.
on Tuesday.
Anything Thursday.
We can hold it. It's either the 9th or 10th or the following Monday or.
The 13th is Monday.
Let's shoot for the night.
Shoot for what?
The night.
Thursday.
The 9th is a Thursday. I could do it.
You guys want to shoot for Thursday then?
That works.
All right, well,
Lisa,
tentatively,
does that work for, Elisa, does that work for your schedule?
That would be the 9th. I can make it work.
6 o'clock.
all right, so tentatively, we're gonna call it June 9th at 6 o'clock. Again, if it's heavily attended, we're gonna call the meeting to order here and we may end up moving downstairs. We'll find out when the date gets here. Again, the study session is June 15. And then the next regular meeting that's already scheduled will be June 22nd. Anybody have anything else? All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.